Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. We're just going to watch Bitcoin and see how far it is going to fall. Let me just post this Bitcoin in a few different places, and then we will jump in. How's everyone doing? We're currently just shy of 52K. All right, I'll be back in 1 minute. All right, how's everyone doing? Let's just see how far it's going to go down. We'll look at a lot of the different moving averages. We'll look at, some of the different places we may head. All right, so currently we're at 52.2. I think the first thing to do is just take sort of some inventory as to where we are with some of these other areas that we've come down to. And always recognizing that, the 20-week moving average is always a place to keep in mind. But let's look at, say, some of the standard ones that we like to look at. And you can see we're falling below the 20-day SMA, the 21-day EMA. So we are back into that short-term bearish territory. We sort of hit that same area over here and right here. Now we're doing it again. So this will be something to keep an eye on. If we look at some of the weekly moving averages, or if we put up, like, say, the 50-day, the 50-day is where we went back in January. If you guys want to know, today that's actually just above 50K, so around 50.7K is the 50-day moving average. So maybe keep an eye on that level. But I think we'll go over to the weekly chart here. We'll go over to the weekly chart, and we'll look at some of these longer term ones. So one thing I want to look at is this 8-week. And the only reason I've never thought the 8-week was important. We've noticed that it's been moving up the 8-week moving average basically since October, right? So since October, the price has been moving up through the 8-week moving average. It hasn't really been going down to the bull market support band. We did go there back in October and September. So we said if we hold it as support, the bull market can take off. We already had the golden cross, the 50-day above the 200-day. We had getting above the 20-week SMA, but then we needed one more thing, and that was to go back down and test the 20-week SMA to confirm the start of the bull market. So that's what happened. We have not seen the 20-week since. The last time we saw the 20-week moving average, it was around $10,000. Now the 20-week moving average is around $36,000. So the short-term moving average that we have more or less been holding as support for the last several months is the 8-week, which is currently at 51,232. So we're not even that far away from it, right? I mean, we're about $1,000 away from that area that we've more or less just been riding up for the last several months. So this basically that line right there. Now, if we fall below that, I mean, things can get nasty. I mean, the 50K, but 40K, if you give the 20-week a couple more weeks, right? You give it a couple more weeks, it'll be at 40K. So that could be an area to keep an eye on if this sort of correction is a sustained correction and not just a temporary pullback. We never really know when we're in it, right? Hindsight has a way of making things seem very easy. But right now, I think that, we might as well just sit back and wait and see. So where I stand, of course, as I've said, is I've taken some profits on ones I want to take profits on, and then I'm sort of waiting, and if it dumps to certain levels that I'm comfortable coming back into the market, then I will. But the problem so far is that these short-term corrections that we had one in January, we had one in February, now we're having one in March. The problem with them so far is that they haven't actually been substantial corrections for me anyways, to merit further reaccumulation. Now, if you have a higher risk tolerance than me, of course, you can accumulate. But I would be personally, for my own risk tolerance, right, I'd be looking for something to actually come back down. You know, a more substantial correction before jumping back in. We'll see if it holds though, because we keep getting these short-term bearish scenarios where everyone's like freaking out. People are running through the streets crazy, and then we actually continue moving up. So I don't really think necessarily. I mean, we have not moved down to the point yet where I think it's imminent to test the 20-week moving average. I wouldn't say we've moved to that point yet, but definitely some areas approaching that we want to keep an eye on, right? The 8-week has more or less been support for the last 6 months. That's currently at 51,242, so we're just over $1,000 above that. The 50-day moving average is the area we held back in January. If we want to hold that as support, that's currently at 50,711, so we're quickly approaching that. So there's a lot of these other shorter term areas that we've seen ourselves bounce off of over the last several months. So I think we don't want to necessarily jump to any conclusions so quickly that we're going to head back down to these levels. Let's just see, let's see what happens. Let's see if we hold it or not. So if you guys have any questions, let me know what your guys' questions are. Yeah, and by the way, I was looking at some of the stuff on Twitter. Yeah, so we're gonna have corrections, right? We're gonna have Bitcoin corrections. When Bitcoin corrects, altcoins will correct more. But then if Bitcoin recovers, we know that altcoins can recover as well. But the further we get into this cycle, I notice more and more new money, they get really spooked over these sort of corrections, and you can sort of live it out. You sort of like live out the market cycle to some degree, because you realize that every new push forward by Bitcoin brings in new money, that then whenever there is a major correction, there's going to be so many fearful people that you can imagine that sort of domino capitulation effect, right? Where so many of these new people sell because they got in over their head. So we'll see what happens. Currently, the price is at 52.2, 52.3. But we are moving down relatively quickly. I mean, if we look at, say, the daily, we're down 3.8% on the day, but on the week, we're currently down not even that much, actually. On the week, we're currently down 9%, about 9% or so. So nothing too crazy yet. So far, if we look at our corrections that we've had, this one back in January was about 31%. The one we had in February was about 26%. And so far, this one has taken us down 16 to 17%. So far, this correction has actually been a little bit more mild than what we've already seen. Doesn't mean it's over. I mean, we could continue going down. But so far, this correction has not even been as bad as the correction we had about 3 to 4 weeks ago, which was not as bad as the correction we had back in January. So, but what's interesting is, despite the fact that this correction was not as bad as this one, which was not as bad as this one, it almost seems like these are worse because of all the new money in the space getting very worked up over these corrections. So as we trend higher, you have more and more new money. Remember, to trend higher, it's going to take exponentially more volume. So there's going to be a lot of new money in the space. The higher we go, the more new money there is, the more these people are going to be somewhat uncomfortable during price retracements. And what I've said before, if you are new, it's not financial advice, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with necessarily accumulating even at these levels, but we have to recognize that we are fairly extended, but it doesn't mean that we can't stay extended. Okay, so we know we're extended. If you accumulate at these levels, I would say you just need to have a more longer term view in mind. That way, if you are coming in, you at least get exposure to the market, so that if it does trend up, you have that exposure. But if it goes down, hopefully you have some dry powder to put back into the market, because we know that things are relatively extended, and that things could certainly come back down for a while. But let's see, we're currently still at 52.4. If we go look at, say, our extension from the 20-week moving average, I would say this is still holding up, right? Our thesis that the extension from the 20-week SMA tends to decrease each market cycle. So far, so good, right? I mean, so far, we can see that has actually been holding up relatively well. Each market cycle, the extension from the 20-week moving average has reduced down. And this chart here is nothing more again, then there's the natural log of the price over the 20-week moving average, okay? So this is what we're currently looking at. You can see that despite the fact that people will tell you this time is different, so far the extension from the 20-week moving average still does not compare to the peak extension from the last cycle, which did not compare with the peak extensions from the cycle before, which did not compare with the peak extensions from the cycle before of the 20-week SMA for the price of Bitcoin. So don't be fooled in thinking, you know, this time is different, that we can't have corrections. We know we can. And in fact, so far, the macro level volatility, at least the extension from the 20-week moving average, is reducing each market cycle. So I think that is something to keep in mind. Now, currently we are, I mean, we're still doing relatively okay. We're still about 50K. I don't even consider this to be a major correction. I mean, maybe you guys can in the chat tell me if you guys consider this to be a major correction. So far, this is not really that substantial of a correction. It doesn't mean it can't turn into one, but so far I would not say that this is a substantial correction until we really start to fall below some of these levels. If we zoom in here, we can see that, yeah, this is that, I believe this is that 8-week moving average. So we've sort of been writing up this one. We just had actually a wick almost down to it just a few moments ago. But we'll see if we bounce here, and if we do, everyone next week's going to be saying who bought the dip. Yeah, this is I mean, think about the correction we had back in March of 2020. I think everyone woke up and their entire portfolio was down like 60% or something ridiculous. But as we trend higher, each correction, because of all the new money in the space, will seem worse, even though so far they've actually been a little bit less severe. By the way, if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Let's get to 1,000 likes. Definitely subscribe. We also have a Telegram channel. I will link that in the comments if you guys want to check it out. We have over 27,000 people in the Telegram group. Note that you should not join the group if you're going to fall for scams, because there are people that will pretend to be me and they might message you pretending to be me. Just know that it's not me. So if you feel like you're going to fall for something like that, then don't join the Telegram group. If you can recognize a scam when you see one, then feel free to join it. And then whenever those imposters message you, you can tell them to F off, is what I would suggest. But anyways, nothing wrong with a pullback. Remember, this market cycle, I mean, I think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to be a long one. And if it is a long one, then we should have some substantial pullbacks along the way. Okay, we should. And so it makes sense. Business as usual, right? Business as usual. Nothing necessarily to get out of bed for. What do you guys want to talk about? What's the pi cycle saying? Again, I think everyone's freaking out over the pi cycle indicator, but remember, like, basically every other model, it was just retroactively fit. Okay, so there's no guarantee that it's going to be predictive. I mean, like, if I wanted to fit a model to 3 data points, it's not that hard to do. Okay, so going and finding 3 data points to fit a model, you can do that, right? I mean, you can do that in a few minutes. And we've done that before, right? We have several models where we look at fits to a few data points. So everyone's freaking out about the pi cycle top indicator. Well, I mean, you know, so far they actually haven't even crossed, and they might not cross. I mean, it sort of depends on what Bitcoin does. What I would say is like any other model, you know, we do not yet know if they're predictive. Now, if we pull up our regression band, yes, we've gone into the peak regression band a couple times. Is it going to be that surprising if we come down for a little while? I don't think so, but we'll see. I mean, we've been in this situation. This is our 3rd time in the last several months where we've been in this situation where we're getting a nice pullback, but then you wake up like the following you wake up a few weeks later and we're already putting in new all-time highs. So I don't yet know if this is a sustained pullback or not. But the great thing, right? I mean, you know, I think a lot of people assume that every person who makes YouTube videos is going to claim that they know what's going to happen. I can assure you that not one person knows has any idea at the end of the day what's going to happen in the short term, right? No one does. So I think what's more important is recognizing that none of us really know what will happen in the short term. Therefore, try to come up with a solution, try to come up with a strategy so that no matter what happens, it's sort of an okay outcome, right? And that's and what I've said before is during a bull market, you can DCA profits out, and then if there's a correction, you can move back into the market. Therefore, you still leave some on the table so that if the market continues to go up, you continue to take profits. But if it dips down, well, at least you had some dry powder on the sideline to put back into the market. And I mean, obviously, I'm sort of generalizing that strategy, but generally speaking, I mean, that is sort of a strategy that can get you to that point where even if the prices go up, you maintain the potential upside. If the prices go down, then at least you took some profits, and therefore you can then push back into the market. A fairly general strategy, doesn't work for everyone. Don't expect it to, but that's more or less what I do. Of course, I do take into account tax implications. I do try to I do take that into account. Yeah, I mean, so right now things are relatively on sale. The question is are they on sale enough to merit reaccumulation? I think that'll be based on your own risk tolerance. I mean, there are a lot of projects. Ethereum, Ethereum right now is at 1591. And if we wanted to know where the bull market support band was for that, we can quickly take a look. So the bull market support for Ethereum right now ranges from 1200 to 1272. Okay, so if Ethereum goes to 1200 to 1272, we're basically back at the bull market support band if it were to happen, say, in the next week or so. And this is the same level that we had major corrections to last market cycle and ultimately held as support and continued along the way. That doesn't mean we're going to hold it as support this time, but that might be a key area that if we make it to, I imagine there would be some people reaccumulating at that level, especially people that are more risk averse. Maybe they don't want to accumulate when it's up, 15x in 12 months. But if it's up a lot and then it has like, say, a fairly substantial retracement, 40% or something back to the 20-week SMA, I imagine if we were to go to that point, the bulls would come out and at least try to hold the line. Doesn't mean they're going to be successful, but they would at least try to hold the line. So I would say to keep an eye on the bull market support band for Ethereum as well. By the way, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you like the content. Yeah, the Bitcoin dominance is still at about 6150. So the Bitcoin dominance hasn't changed a whole lot. If we could actually pull that up here, let's pull up the Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, so it basically hasn't changed a whole lot, but on the week it has gone up. On the day, it has also gone up by approximately 0.8%. Okay, so Bitcoin is bleeding. Alts are generally bleeding harder right now, but over the last several weeks, you can see it's more or less been trending sideways. So it hasn't actually made a very substantial move. It hasn't really done much of anything since that February 12th. The dominance has not really changed a lot since say mid-February. It's more or less just been trending sideways at this point. What other questions do we have? We're not going to stay here long. Make sure you guys subscribe, though. Definitely subscribe. Thank you guys for getting me to 250,000 subscribers. I noticed it happened the other day, but I wasn't in my office when it happened. But yeah, we're past 250. We're now at 254, so we'll continue climbing. But yeah, we can take a look at some of the other coins. But we're not gonna stay on too long. Yeah, we talked about I mentioned DXY. Same thing applies, right? We keep moving up, not good for Bitcoin. Same area that we bounced in early 2018. So if we keep moving up, generally not good for Bitcoin. Just like in 2014 when it moved up, it was not good for Bitcoin. In 2018 when it moved up, it was not good for Bitcoin. If we start moving up, if the dollar starts moving up, it's probably not going to be good for Bitcoin. I mean, there's no other way to say it, right? It doesn't matter what we want to happen. It's just a matter of looking at what has happened. And if the dollar moves up, it just historically has not been good for Bitcoin. and it'll make it harder for Bitcoin to put in new all-time highs if the dollar continues to outperform. Yeah, we can take a look at Link. Oh, well, yeah, we'll take a quick look at it. So Link USD, the bull market support band for Link USD is at $21 to $22. So we're still just above that level. So we sort of look at the bull market. The bull market support band for Link, by the way, is something we rode from September until December, and everyone was very frustrated with Link in this area. And then ultimately it skyrocketed up in January. Right now, the bull market support band, which again is a combination of the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA, ranges from $21 to $22. Yeah, I would never. I don't recommend leverage trading on the channel, so we're not going to talk about that. Crypto's already very risky and volatile, so we don't. Think leverage trading is something that will not serve most people well, especially because you think about the opportunity cost on it is relatively high, right? I mean, if you leverage trade and you lose say, a Bitcoin or an Ether or something, you might think, well, I mean, Bitcoin is at 52K, so that would be a lot. But if you were to say lose 25% of an Ethereum, of an Ether or something, and you lost a few $100, you might say, oh, well, it's not that much or something. And of course, this depends on your own situation. It'll be relative. But whatever you lose, you might think like, oh, it's not that bad. But if you account for the fact that the entire asset class will probably trend up another 10x over the next several years, well, then the opportunity cost of what you're losing might be a lot. That's why we don't shill that stuff here, right? You won't see me shilling leverage trading. We don't have any of those affiliate links or anything like that, because I think that people who do that are really doing their viewers a disservice, because they just benefit on you trading, right? They don't care. They probably don't really care if you get liquidated or not. They just benefit on you signing up with their affiliate link. No affiliate links here, right? No leverage trading talk here. It's risky. The people that are shilling it to you have ulterior motives, right? That's ultimately what it is. Okay, there's no sugarcoating it. There's no way they can defend it. I mean, it is what it is. We'll see the questions. Someone says Litecoin. I mean, Litecoin's at 177. It'll just generally trend up with the market, down with the market, right? So I don't think Litecoin is. I mean, again, the opportunity cost on Litecoin is relatively high, because if you're putting it into Litecoin, you're not putting it into something else. BNB holding it. Someone says Binance Coin is holding up. Let's actually pull up Coin Market Cap and see how everything is holding up. Why not? Let's see. So Bitcoin's down 3.5. Ethereum's down 4.5. Binance Coin's down 2.3. So Binance Coin is holding up relative to the pack. Cardano is holding up relatively well. I mean, Cardano's only down 3% as opposed to Bitcoin being down almost 3.5. So Cardano's down 3.17. Bitcoin's down 3.43. So Cardano and Binance Coin are both holding up relatively well, considering where Bitcoin is. Binance Coin is holding up the best so far. DOT has taken a big hit today. So DOT has taken a hit. It's down 14%. XRP is down 12%. Uniswap's down 12%. Litecoin, I guess, is holding up okay. It's down 2.8%. Theta, which is not one we've talked about before, but maybe we should. It's in the top 10. It's down 15%. Link's doing okay compared to some of them, but it's still down 7%. And then so on and so forth. So we'll see where Bitcoin is. So Bitcoin's at 52.3. Switch this over to the weekly. Actually, why don't we go back in? We can zoom back in. Something we can also, let me zoom back in here. Let's go look at the minute time frame just to sort of see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, it's it's a fairly sharp drop off right there. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Give the video a thumbs up. What's the price point of the green support? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Yeah, guys. I mean, yeah, you guys know the drill, right? I mean, it's always up and down, right? It's always up and down. Crypto goes up, crypto goes down. It mainly goes up. Make sure you pick the coins that will stand the test of time. You know, you look at where Bitcoin is today. It's at 52K. 6 months ago, it was at 10K. You look at Ethereum. You say, okay, it's at 1578. 6 months ago, it was a few $100s. You look at Link. You say, all right, it's $24. A few months ago, it was $8. So yes, there's always going to be the people that come in and buy the local top. And then a lot of the cryptocurrencies that stand the test of time will continue to bail them out. Some of the ones won't bail them out, the ones that won't stand the test of time. So, you know, if you're gonna complain, if you're gonna be upset that the prices are coming back down, you have to recognize that it's not always going to go up monotonically. I mean, I say that in a way, so I want you to just realize that it's not just going to always be fun and games, right? So you have to realize that. So I mean, even with things like Link, you know, we had this, I mean, for the people that were here last summer, we had a major move up, it came down, everyone got salty over Link during this period, and then we said, hey, you know what, at some point Link's going to bail these guys out, probably in 2021. It bailed them out. Now it's at new all-time highs, and now people are, my guess is that people are going to be salty with Link again when it's maybe riding this area or something. Okay, so generally how it works, the people that buy the tops will generally be the loudest, and the people that are over here just quietly accumulating, those are the ones that stand to gain the most. We said it back when it was $8 and $10 and $12 and $14, and then eventually it skyrocketed up to $37. Now it's dropped back down to 24, but we're still above our bull market support band, right? We're still doing relatively well. Yeah, and I mean, I get that sometimes people think that I'm being harsh, but I mean, to some degree, crypto is harsh, right? Let's not sugarcoat it. We got to learn how the market works. You have to learn how the market works. Realize that you will see dips like this, that it will come back down, but it doesn't mean the cycle's over. It just means that we're going to come back down. We're going to test some other areas for a while, sometimes more than a while, and then ultimately we'll hopefully trend back up. If you look at Bitcoin over the last 11 years, what has it done? I mean, it generally trends up. There's been some major pullbacks, right? There's been some major pullbacks along the way, but it generally trends up. Okay, it generally trends up. And so far, the correction that everyone's freaking out about is this pixel that you can barely even make out at this point. So I think some people are getting a little bit too ahead of themselves. There's no guarantee that this will be a sustained correction. But, I mean, if we go down to 40K or something and test the 20-week moving average, that could be a months-long process, right? If you look at the last cycle, there were months at a time where we would be testing the 20-week moving average, and it can be grueling. We did it back in September and October. It was a 6-week test. A lot of people were super bearish at the time, but we said, you know what, if we hold it, then the bull market will probably get kicked off here in the not-so-distant future. That's what happened. People were very bearish. And then things started moving relatively quickly. A lot quicker than I thought even. Right? I didn't think we were going to go up 6x in 6 months, but that's what happened. Why isn't ADA being affected that much? I mean, I think it is. I mean, it just depends on... it's still down 4%, right? I mean, now it's down 4%. Binance Coin's down 3%. Some of them are just... they're not falling quite as hard, but the entire market, more or less, is coming down. At least over the last 24 hours, but we've seen many of these days, right? I mean, this is not our first rodeo. This is not our first pullback in crypto. If anything, right? If you're new to the space and you did buy the local top, which we of course always warn about, pullbacks are a good thing, right? And that's what I say in a lot of the videos, right? If you are coming in relatively late and it pulls back, you should probably see that as a good thing, not as a bad thing, because then you know, you always want to get in at lower prices. Well, when you get your chance, do you put your money where your mouth is, or do you just, you know, do you hold off until then it goes back up to higher prices and FOMO it again? So I would say whatever plan you have, just stick to that plan. Don't change it. Just stick to whatever plan you have. And if you carry out that plan over the long haul, assuming it's a good plan, then it should work out relatively well. A lot of times it means not day trading, right? And just getting positions in coins that you do think will stand the test of time, and riding those positions as long as you can. Remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. No, I don't really, everyone talks about market manipulation and you know, expirations of CME. I don't really think that stuff makes as big of a difference. I mean, yeah, of course it could have some residual effect, but at the end of the day, it's just a market. Markets behave like this. Markets go up, markets go down. You know, if the market goes up, most people don't scream market manipulation. The minute it goes down, everyone starts screaming it. I would say it's just a market. People are taking profits. I've taken some profits, as I've said, right? I mean, when you have coins up 50, 60x, it's hard not to take profits. So people will take profits. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe they want to diversify a little bit. It's just a market, right? It's just a market. No, I'm not going to enable super chat. If you want to tip someone, just go invest it or go tip someone in a different channel. What is a market cycle? I mean, it's just, you know, I mean, it depends on it. Generally speaking, we talk about it, measuring it from, say, the bottom to the top, right? The global bottom of that cycle to the top. Then you get like some long bear market accumulation phase that lasts like a year or something. And then you sort of start a new cycle. Some people will measure it from the halving. I mean, we've done it from the halving before, but I like to measure it from market cycle bottom. I don't know. I don't day trade. Sometimes I'll do these like long-term momentum shift trades, but no, I don't day trade. When did I first buy DOT? At $3. And you can verify that too. Like, just go to the Polkadot playlist on the channel, and you'll see we were talking about Polkadot at $3 and saying that that's the time, right? We said this is the time, and that we'll look back and say, man, that was a nice accumulation phase. Go back on the channel just a few months and you'll see us talking about DOT at around $3 or so. $3 to $6 is where I accumulated it. I haven't bought any since, really. So I mean, that was generally the accumulation corridor for Polkadot. For me, anyways. Would next Friday be a good opportunity to buy Ethereum? I don't know. I mean, it depends on your own risk tolerance. Probably depends on what Ethereum's doing then, right? I mean, if Ethereum goes up a lot between now and then, maybe not. Yeah, the day DOT listed, it was like $4. It actually fairly quickly went to like $6, I think. Yeah, I went to like $6 or $7, then it came back down and was basically an accumulation for 4 or 5 months between $3 to $6. Sorry, I don't have opinions on whatever the new flavor of what flavor of the day for whatever new altcoin is being shilled on other channels, right? So we'll stick with the top ones. We're not going to go micro cap hunting here. By the way, remember, if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And also remember to check out our Telegram channel. We have over 27,000 people. Check it out. I'll link it in the comments. Also, we have the altcoin season sale going on. Probably going to end it. I think I'm going to end it in about a week, actually. So that should give people enough time to sign up. So check it out. We had some issues with people signing up last week because there was a lot of traffic. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll put it in the comments. You can find it in the description below. You get access to the weekly reports and videos, the alerts channel, the trading view indicators, the Into the Cryptoverse app, and more. Let's check out Ether Bitcoin. So it's still been coming down here. But look here, this sort of expanding. We sort of drew this line to connect this weekly candle there with these two as well as here. So I mean, we're still more or less just continuing along the same path we've been on. Sort of zigzagging between these. More or less. So again, same thing we've been seeing for the last 2 years, right? This pattern goes back to August of 2019. So quite a long time. A year and a half or so. Someone says he loves how people are talking about alt season when they have been dumping hard against Bitcoin for the last 7 months. I'm not sure that's necessarily true. I mean, these are comments that people say, but they don't really back them up in any way. If you go look at some of the coins we talk about, you look at ADA Bitcoin. I mean, look at what it's done. This is since December. It's gone up substantially. So I don't necessarily think that that's a true statement. If you look at if you look at some coins, yes, they have been dumping, but not all of them. And in fact, the dominance of Bitcoin, as we were showing just a few minutes ago, since January has actually been dropping. So that means that its dominance is going down. So a lot of altcoins have gained ground on Bitcoin since that time period, because the dominance was over 73%. Now it's all the way down to 61 to 62%. So at least since January, the dominance of Bitcoin has been falling down. You know what? One of the things I would say is a lot of people are claiming that alt seasons haven't happened yet. But, when you look at coins that have gone up 60, 70x in a year, how can you claim there's no alt season in there? All right, well, maybe we should wrap it up. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out the premium list if you want. Remember, we also have the Into the Cryptoverse Telegram chat room. You guys want to join that, you can take the party over there. Ignore the scammers pretending to be me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Just a very brief update on the market. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe, turn on alerts. I'll see you next time. Bye.